Well, in terms of advice for young women academics starting out, say on their PhD these days, I would advise them not to be afraid of thinking big, right? Largely because we live in times when there are really big issues facing the world. And if you can tie your research to those big issues, I think that that's very important. We also live in times when there is increasing marginalisation of particular groups in society, not only women, but also people who suffer from a great deal of poverty. Across the world, different minority groups and migrant groups, as well as disabled people and so on. And I've always believed that people who are marginalised have a kind of truth about the world. They have a perspective that it isn't just that there's a democratic responsibility to ensure that people have a voice, but those people have a view of the world which actually has within it the capacity to think about how the world should be different. And it's also that a lot of the movements, the social movements that have represented those people, that's precisely what they've been about. They've been about trying to change the order of the world, not saying, oh, we would like to be let into the world, but actually we would like to change the world so that it suits all of us better. And I think that a lot of those issues that are associated with, say, women, women's care responsibilities, violence against women, that experience and changing that experience is really at the root of changing a lot of what is wrong, and it benefits a lot of people. It's not as though it just benefits women, it benefits men as well. So that would be part of my advice, I think. Another thing is, from having a long experience, I did my degree over 50 years ago, my undergraduate degree, I think that's right. I finished anyway in May 1968. I think as well, going into different areas and researching particular issues, you kind of think that the impact that you're going to make is immediate, and it isn't. It takes time. It takes time, sometimes if you're doing a new area, it takes time for other people to recognise that the work that you're doing is important, and that's one very important reason. If you really believe that what you're studying is important, follow it through. Don't be put off by other people saying, oh well, this is not particularly interesting at this moment in time, because sometimes those are the very things that gradually sort of gather more interest over time. And I have to say, in my experience, I've found that I've raised issues and then it's only 10 years later that you'll see that the research councils or the European bodies are beginning to say, we want research on this, you know. So keep at it, because you'll find eventually that probably those new ideas will take root. But I think one of the things as well, going back to that question of there being a lot of big problems with the world at the moment, is that I feel that being an academic is an immense privilege, actually. It's hard work these days with the, you know, having to publish and so on, but it is an immense privilege. And what you do with that privilege, the responsibility that goes with that privilege, is about beginning to think of new things, new ways in which we can order the world. Order isn't the best word. How, for example, you can develop solidarities across different groups to change things. how you can have a different form of politics that is respectful of other people's positions. What are the new ways in which we should be organising our societies in order that people have the opportunities and choices to live their lives in the way that they want to? What are the new kind of forms of philosophical thinking that should underpin this? You know, so I think being creative is being innovative is extremely important these days. I don't mean kind of off the wall so nobody knows what you're talking about, but actually trying to, and I don't mean being so realist that you're kind of boring. Right? I mean being creative in order to rethink the frames of the problems that you're studying. And although my area of research is social policy and not responsibility to protect, what I understand about R2P is that that was a new frame to deal with enduring problems that have been going on for a long time. It's not that they're new problems, there's greater intensity certainly, but that's precisely how we need to be going now, thinking of new frames in which to look at enduring problems of violence, of exploitation and so on and so forth, of poverty, for example.